Welcome back to NHK Newsline. It is 4 p.m. on Tuesday. I'm Ayu Chida in Tokyo. We start with U.S. President Donald Trump's Asia tour. Trump is now in South Korea, within sight of the country that is dominating talks on his trip, North Korea. We now go to NHK World's Kim Chanju, who is standing by in Seoul. Chanju, what is the latest?
Trump is now in Seoul at the presidential palace called the Blue House, where he is meeting with President Moon Jae-in. The big issue, North Korea's nuclear threats. People are watching to see if the leaders can seem to be in agreement on the stance to take towards the North. President Moon has promoted dialogue, while Trump has threatened to destroy the North. The two may also discuss the defense cost-sharing issue. During his presidential campaign, Trump made strong remarks about how the U.S. was treated unfairly. He cited a U.S. missile defense system as an example, saying Seoul should pay for it, not Washington. Another big issue is trade. Both countries agreed last month to renegotiate a 2012 trade pact due to pressure from the Trump administration. Washington has argued its trade deficit with Seoul more than doubled over the past 5 years. Earlier today, Trump met with senior U.S. and South Korean service members and held what he called great cooperation between countries.
Chanju, tell us what the mood is like where you are.
I'm in the center of Seoul, where riot police have cleared the streets. There are two separate demonstrations going on. One is people who don't want Trump to visit and fear he's leading their country to the path to war again. The other group is pro-Trump demonstrators. Police are keeping these groups apart. These types of protests show that Trump is a divisive figure here in South Korea. Once today's talks are finished, there will be a joint press conference. On Wednesday, Trump is scheduled to address South Korean lawmakers at the National Assembly before he heads to China. Back to you in Tokyo.
Thanks for that, Chanju. Well, Trump's previous stop on his Asia tour was Japan, where he and the Japanese Prime Minister said they're on the same page when it comes to North Korea. Now, Tokyo has expanded sanctions on Pyongyang. It's doing so by adding to the list of organizations and people whose assets are frozen. The cabinet approved the measure Tuesday. The newly added entities are North Korean banks with addresses in China, Russia, Libya, and the United Arab Emirates, along with their representatives. Their inclusion brings the number to 84 North Korean organizations and 108 individuals whose assets have been frozen. Japan's chief cabinet secretary says the move is because North Korea continues to engage in provocative speech and behavior.
To accompany President Trump's visit to Japan, the government has decided to freeze the assets of an additional 9 organizations and 26 individuals connected to North Korea. The goal is to maximize pressure on the North in unity with the United States.
Japan has already imposed sanctions which include banning the entry of all ships that have made port calls in North Korea. Money transfers are also prohibited, with the exception of some humanitarian funds. Meanwhile, in an apparent show of force against the North, 3 U.S. aircraft carriers are set to hold joint drills in the Western Pacific. The USS Ronald Reagan, USS Theodore Roosevelt, and USS Nimitz will be accompanied by destroyers, ships, and aircraft. It will be the first time the 3 carriers hold joint exercises in a decade. A U.S. official says the drills are meant to reassure allies and demonstrate a capability that no other nation in the world can do. North Korea is criticizing the planned exercise through its ruling party's official newspaper, saying the exercise is a vicious challenge to their people and the international community, which look for peace and safety. In another development, the U.S. Defense Department told NHK that it is adding 8 more interceptor missiles in the U.S. state of Alaska to counter possible missile attacks by North Korea, bringing it to a total of 44 deployed in Alaska and California.